The idea of a Game of Thrones movie has sparked significant curiosity and excitement among fans, particularly as the TV show left an unforgettable yet divisive legacy. A film adaptation presents the opportunity to revisit the intricate world of Westeros, providing closure or exploring new chapters that might not have been touched in the series, while a movie could condense the complex story, offering a new angle and focused narrative. It faces inherent challenges that range from condensing the vast plot to satisfying fans who have a deep-rooted attachment to the show. The series' immense popularity shows that audiences crave more, yet expectations are sky-high, especially after the controversial ending. Could a movie possibly address lingering questions, or even breathe new life into the story? These questions linger as fans weigh the possibilities, both for enhancing and risking the legacy of a beloved fantasy world. Let's delve into the possibilities, exploring the advantages, drawbacks, and what direction a movie could take to enrich the legacy of Game of Thrones. There's much to consider, from casting choices and plot selection to the challenges of condensing complex story arcs into a limited runtime. Through this analysis, we'll understand what it would mean to have Game of Thrones return in cinematic form. Would it be a triumphant return or a perilous venture into familiar territory? Let's be real, the ending of Game of Thrones left a lot of fans, well, less than thrilled. People still talk about how things didn't add up, like character arcs that seemed to go nowhere, or the rushed storylines that left too many questions hanging. So, imagine the pressure on a movie to fix what went wrong with the show. This isn't just a few tweaks here and there. Fans would expect the movie to somehow redeem the entire series finale. That's a massive expectation. And the filmmakers would be under the microscope, with fans dissecting every choice, every line of dialogue, and every plot twist, trying to make everyone happy. That's like signing up for failure from the start, especially with a fan base as passionate. And let's face it, as picky as Game of Thrones fans, if the movie tries too hard to cater to everyone, it might end up feeling forced and losing the essence of what made Game of Thrones so bold in the first place. It would constantly be walking on eggshells, trying to avoid the mistakes of the last season, while also bringing something fresh to the table. But with expectations so high, there's a big chance that no matter what they do, it might end up pleasing no one in the end. After all, fan expectations are a double-edged sword. They fuel hype, but they also create impossible standards. It took seasons to explain the significance of the Wall, the Night's Watch, the Targaryen dynasty, and more. In a movie, there's barely enough time to dive into that rich backstory, without overwhelming new viewers or boring long-time fans with repetitive info. So, the film would have to choose between giving a light version of Westeros or dumping too much lore at once. If they skimp on the lore, it won't feel like Game of Thrones. If they overdo it, it'll just bog down the story. And let's be honest, half the fun of the series was slowly piecing together all the lore and connections. A movie wouldn't have that luxury, and it would lose the layered storytelling that made Game of Thrones feel so immersive. It would either feel like an incomplete snapshot of the world, or get lost in explaining every detail, which just doesn't work in a 2-hour format. In trying to keep everyone up to speed, it would risk feeling cluttered or shallow. A movie set during the Targaryen conquest, for instance, could reveal the origin of the Iron Throne and the epic battles that united the Seven Kingdoms. Alternatively, a film about Robert's rebellion could bring characters like young Ned Stark, Robert Baratheon, and Lyanna Stark to life in a fresh and compelling way. This era is full of intrigue, passion, and conflict, all elements that could translate well to the big screen, while offering a fresh narrative for both old and new fans. Another option would be The Dance of the Dragons, a Targaryen civil war that tore the realm apart, full of dramatic betrayals, shifting alliances, and dragon battles. These historical stories would allow the movie to remain in Westeros, keeping the beloved fantasy setting, while also introducing new, untold stories to audiences. It would bring new depth to the world, adding context to the conflicts and alliances that shaped Westeros long before the events of the series. Exploring a different era would be a win-win, offering the excitement of new characters while preserving the mystique of the original show's timeline. It would feel fresh, yet familiar, an ideal combination for a film adaptation. The show's strength lay in its depth and detail, with sprawling subplots and character arcs that developed over many hours of television. Condensing that into a few hours would mean losing some of the nuances that made the series so captivating. Choosing which plot elements to retain or omit would be a challenge, risking alienating fans if certain storylines are left out or underdeveloped. The expansive cast of characters also presents a problem. While a movie can focus on a few central figures, it risks sidelining beloved secondary characters. This could lead to a simplified version of Westeros that lacks the layers of intrigue and political maneuvering that defined the series. The limited runtime would inevitably lead to fast pacing, potentially sacrificing the slower, more introspective moments that allowed characters to truly resonate with audiences. Adapting a sprawling fantasy world into a movie is no easy feat, especially one with such a dedicated fan base and high expectations. The stakes for a Game of Thrones movie are sky high, especially after the way the series wrapped up. Fans would expect the film to deliver something huge, something meaningful that either gives closure or adds new layers to the world they invested so much time in. But the problem is, it's incredibly hard for a single movie to deliver that kind of emotional payoff. The show built up years of tension, character development, and drama, and squeezing a satisfying resolution or new twist into a couple of hours is a tough ask. Think about it. If the movie tries to give closure, it'll feel rushed, like it's trying to fix things without enough time to do it justice. On the other hand, if it introduces new storylines, fans might feel frustrated that they're just getting another cliffhanger instead of a real resolution. And let's be honest, after the last season, a lot of fans are already wary. A movie that doesn't deliver would just feel like another letdown. Plus, with expectations so high, even a good movie might not feel good enough, because fans want something extraordinary, something that rivals the best of the series. In the end, a movie might just feel like a high-stakes gamble with too little payoff, leaving fans wondering why they even bothered in the first place. It's a big risk for studios too, because a movie that doesn't meet those sky-high expectations could end up tarnishing the Game of Thrones legacy even more. A Game of Thrones movie could bring the grandeur and allure of Westeros to an even larger canvas, with cinematic visuals enhancing the breathtaking landscapes and intense battle sequences. In the film medium, the potential for higher quality effects and meticulously crafted sets would make scenes feel more immersive, drawing viewers deeper into the world. The sweeping vistas of places like Winterfell, King's Landing, and beyond could shine like never before, while battles could take on new levels of scope and intensity. The beauty of a movie is its ability to focus and refine, allowing creators to spotlight key storylines without the episodic breaks that sometimes fragmented the TV narrative. This concentration could make the story tighter, with every moment counting, ensuring that every scene has impact and purpose. Furthermore, a movie offers the chance to introduce new audiences to Game of Thrones, allowing the story to stand alone in an accessible, encapsulated way. For longtime fans, revisiting Westeros in a new format would bring nostalgia, rekindling excitement and appreciation for a world they thought had concluded. The allure of a big-screen adaptation is undeniable, potentially restoring some of the magic and grandeur that waned toward the show's final season. It could reintroduce beloved characters or explore new ones, building on the rich world with renewed creativity and focus. Done right, a movie could remind everyone why Westeros became such a cultural phenomenon. In the end, a Game of Thrones movie would be both a thrilling opportunity and a daunting challenge. The possibility of returning to Westeros excites fans who are eager to revisit its rich lore and characters, especially if new stories and eras are explored. Yet, there are valid concerns about the limitations of a movie, which may not capture the sprawling, intricate depth that defined the TV show. Still, with careful planning and thoughtful storytelling, a Game of Thrones movie could offer a fresh take that honors the legacy of the show. By exploring a new era or focusing on pivotal events in Westeros history, the film could enrich the lore while remaining faithful to the spirit of Game of Thrones. It would not only entertain but also expand upon the mythology that captivated millions, creating new memories for fans old and new alike. The journey from the Iron Throne to the big screen is filled with potential, carrying both great risk and great reward. Ultimately, whether or not a movie succeeds depends on its ability to balance fidelity to the original, with the boldness to carve out a new chapter